Hello, welcome guys, and we are on the seventh game of the key squares concept, and this game was played between Krasenko and Protasevich in 1999. The game goes knight f3, c5, c4, knight f6, knight c3, d5, cd5, knight d5, and e4, and knight takes c3. This move is usually chosen if black wants to play the Grunfeld. Uh, Here instead, if black goes can go knight b4, bishops. Here instead, knight b4 and bishop c4 and knight d3 and king e2 leads to a very interesting position. Uh, it is very extremely important to play very inventively here. And after knight takes c3, d takes c3. Uh, uh, Black was expecting b takes c3, but white played d takes c3. White is ready here to go for a primitive and equal endgame. Actually, white is ready to play very patiently, enjoying perhaps a small but stable advantage. The point is that black queenside is very weakened after the advance of the c pawn. White can comfortably access the c4 square. Uh, Always place a piece in front of opponent's central pawn if other pawns cannot attack it. Also, the b5 and d5 squares can also be used by the white pieces. For instance, the white bishop on f4 could control a very important diagonal, and after the natural setting of black pawns on f6 and e5, the entire light squared complex would be weakened. After queen takes d1, white has a slight space advantage and black logically wants to trade queens. Here even queen c7 is playable, but there is a disharmony in black's army. After bishop c4 by white, uh, after bishop c4 by white, the light squared bishop of black uh, lacks a good square. And if he goes to g4, it will give white the bishop pair. And also the dark squared bishop wouldn't be comfortable on e7 or g7. So here after the queen is exchanged, and after knight c6, king c2, and this is a perfect square for the king. It looks like white is delaying the activation of the c1 bishop, uh, and he is waiting for black to see about his f8 bishop first. Here even white could play bishop e3 or bishop f4. Both are good choices. e6. If black had played g6, it would be met with bishop e3 with the idea to provoke the move e6, which would weaken the f6 square. If at all g6 is played, here bishop e3, and after e6, then there would be b6, e6. I'm sorry. b6, then that will be b6 and bishop b5 and bishop d7, a4 and bishop g7 and rook ht1 with an evident advantage and positional threat of advancing a5. e6, bishop f4. The bishop targets the weakened d6 square and black is almost forced to advance his e-pawn again. f6, knight d2. This standard and logical regrouping plan. The knight heads to the c4 square while the a-pawn will be advanced to a4 supporting the knight. e5, bishop e3. Black consistently restricts white's dark squared bishop, but then the light squared weaknesses appear. Bishop e6, bishop e6 and bishop c4 and white wants to exchange black's light squared bishop. He can aim for a good knight versus bad bishop type of position. Here a4 is premature. After long castles, the move bishop c4 is forbidden because of rook d2 check. Rook takes d2 check. So it is first white must place bishop to c4 and then king f7. Here black should have gone bishop takes c4 and after knight takes c4 b5 to fight for the light squares, and after a4 white's knight will now dominate on the c4 square. Bishop e7, bishop takes e6, king takes e6, knight c4, b6, rook ht1, rook ht8. Rook takes d8, rook takes d8 and g4, g6. G6, and with the idea of playing f5, perhaps blacks later decided not to go for it though. This move will make the e5 pawn vulnerable. Then rook g1. This rook g1 is to advance the h pawn to h5 and open the h file. If black opposes it by playing h5 himself, white would control the g file after the exchange of pawns. Of course, this move is also a measure against f5. Rook h8, king d3, king f7, h4, king e6, h5, rook d8 check, king c2, rook g8, hg6, hg6, rook h1, knight d8, rook knight a3, and the knight is vacating the square for the king, and he is ready to go to b5, knight c6, rook h7, rook c8, Knight c4, rook f8, bishop d2, f5, rook h6, f takes g4, rook takes g6 check, rook f6, rook takes f6, king takes f6. After a short series of forced moves, the situation has cleared. White has kept an advantage due to better minor pieces and weaknesses in black's queenside structure. The g4 pawn is separated from rest of the army and will soon face problems. White's next moves are very natural. King d3, king g6, knight e3, bishop g5, knight takes g4, bishop takes d2, king takes d2, king g5, f3, king f4, king e2, a6, knight f6, b5, knight d5, check, and after king g5, knight c7. If at all king had gone to king g3, then knight c7, b takes a4, knight takes a6. It's coming. So after king g5, knight c7, ba4, and there is knight e6 fork, and black resigned here. Okay guys, I hope you would have really enjoyed the game, and I know all these games are very illustrative. I'll meet you in the next game. Thank you.